The way my dad was killed, he was fed poison on a Sunday, after having Sunday meal at a certain funeral, and for some reason, from what I was told, that he was specifically told he has to eat this specific plate. Let's do justice to our artists. Like, let's respect the craft. I don't feel like artists are being respected the way that they should be. Hopola hore o mang. Like, the problem with us that we really honestly do forget who we are, and especially in the industry that we are placed in. We are more than all the characters that we play.
Sure.
At the end of the day, Naki Dikizing, Bertha Mphuthi.
It's not every day that you get to hang out with a person of this caliber whose work speaks for themselves, whose characters have shaken parts of society in various seasons and various productions. I promise you she's more beautiful in real life. So sorry to you if you're only seeing her on camera. I suggest you come to our lounge one day and make sure you get to meet all these incredible people I get to meet. Keke Mphuthi, welcome to Engineer Your Life.
Thank you so much. The person you're describing, I've never heard of.
You've never heard of?
It's good to see and get to hear.
Kanjan Maji, because you live that person on a daily basis.
The characters I play are not necessarily beauty
Sure,
queens.
right?
Yabo?
Yeah.
So when you act, you forget about a lot of things. I'm not trying to be pretty. I'm just trying to portray a character. But thank you so much. That means a lot.
How's your heart today?
Today, my heart is optimistic. Yeah. It's been a dark space, but my heart is very optimistic today.
I love that you say there's a sense of optimism because there's so much to be said about in this country, in our lives. So we have to take a conscious decision to not dwell in the sadness, right?
Yeah.
How do you draw the optimism? Where do you draw the strength from?
So for those that don't know, and I've repeated this so many times, my mom is a pastor, actually a bishop at St. John. So I'm a PK. So ke hotse ka kereke. Like, church is definitely the number one go-to place.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're very cultural back at home as well.
Sure.
So I'm very big on acknowledging my ancestors. In fact, my friend likes to kid to me and says, India, because I've got my chakra beads on.
Chakrahan.
Yeah, so I think I really honestly lean into higher power and manifesting. Like, yeah.
Why does higher power and manifesting work for you?
In all honesty, I've realized at a very young age that your tongue is actually a very powerful weapon. Your tongue is a very powerful weapon. I didn't realize for the longest time that Garadua, God and my ancestors,
Sure.
like, they are very, very, very protective when it comes to me. And I think the events of my life and everything that has occurred has shown me how much they value me, how much they love me. And I guess sometimes life will hit you with a whirlwind that will make you forget but I'm actually I'm very grateful for the mere fact that somewhere in the midst of it all, I actually bring my senses come back.
I hear you.
Yeah, my senses come back. Okay, fine, no. Hopola hore o mang. Like, the problem with us that we really honestly do forget who we are, and especially in the industry that we are placed in. We are more than all the characters that we play.
Sure.
At the end of the day, Naki Dikizing, Bertha Mphuthi. And that is who I came into the industry as.
You speak of being grateful for being able to come out of seasons, regardless of the circumstances that they come with. How much does gratitude play a role in remaining above the water, in remaining okay, in remaining fine?
Gratitude, I'd like to see it as the one fundamental thing to have. Like, if you look at your life right now and your life 5, 6, 10 years back, you prayed for this specific moment. So I think I take that into accountability every single time, that you were at a place where you could not necessarily sit here and have a podcast and have accolades and people have referrals about your
Absolutely.
name.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
why are you complaining
Sure.
now when you should be grateful for what you do have? That's the only way I'm going to attract greatness furthermore. Be grateful about the space in which you're in right now, because you're going to be attracting more from where it is that you are.
If I'm grateful for what I am now,
You are going to
I'm
be
able to attract greater.
greater.
And gratitude always has a reference. You're correct. 5 years ago, I wasn't here. I
wasn't.
was unknown. I didn't have social media. Here I am
You
today. People respect me for this platform.
There you go.
But because I have bigger dreams than this, I
Yeah.
could choose to complain and say, oh, I haven't achieved that, or I can choose gratitude.
That's the power of believing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Faith of a mustard seed.
Yeah.
That's what you drive yourself with.
You say there were tough times. How tough did it get?
Hectic. I think I'm one person that really does not try and dwell on the past, especially around when my son was born. You know, I had lost my job at a production that I was working at due to me being pregnant. And that was a very, very tough period for me. You know, it was something that I did not foresee happening. I really thought I was in a great space. I was climbing the ladder, and it was climbable. In fact, I feel like I had an escalator.
Sure.
Because everything was just coming my way. But I think in that moment, God needed to remind me that you are now forgetting me. Because truth is, I was forgetting to pray. I was making excuses. I was working from Mondays to Saturdays. Sundays was my only days off. What am I doing? I'm sleeping, doing laundry, catching up with, and being a social butterfly, trying to make sure that I am available to everybody that I've not been available to the other 6 days. But then the one person that I should be saying thank you to, I did not give him a second of my time.
Pastor Musa Motlong says that we pray to God for blessings and opening of doors and elevation, and then we then put God in our diary instead of honoring the very source of the blessings and honoring where we are. We now say, hey, I'm too busy.
Yeah.
I'm on holiday in Thailand on Sunday. I'm resting from the source.
I'm resting from what you gave me
Yeah.
in abundance.
Yeah.
That was my biggest mistake. There, I take full accountability.
I'll push you. Do you regret falling pregnant at that time?
Never. I'd like to believe, in all honesty, I was made to feel like it was a bad thing. It was not teenage pregnancy. I was 28.
Like.
You know? But the way everything sufficed and the conversations that were had and the ungodly options I was given with regarding this, I do not regret my decision. I'd like to believe that I'd be a very lonely 34-year-old girl sitting right here that would have had everything except for the love of an unconditional love of a child.
Sure.
And my son is really my greatest blessing.
Keke, what do you mean options? Like, who has the autonomy over your own body?
Let's not even go into that. Like I said, I try literally not to talk about those moments that they don't bring me any value right now in my present life. You understand? God deals with the people that He needs to deal with accordingly. That bring your tears just don't fall, guys. A person's tears don't just fall.
I get you, ne?
Yeah.
But I've had many actors. We spoke about this before we started going on air. I've had many actors on that chair, and Nambita Mpumla, Mam Nambita, said she was labeled a diva on set for demanding basic things, right? For asking, rather, for basic things. Here you are going through a natural process of motherhood, and which is a celebratory moment, right? It's building of a legacy, continuation of your name. And here you're saying you were chastised for it, you were looked down upon for it. Is that the norm in our industry where motherhood is looked down upon?
I'd like to believe that it's changing.
Okay.
I think in the earlier years, they really didn't know how to navigate around such situations. It's almost like if you were a female coming into this industry, do not have a plan with regards to your own private life.
Sure.
If you're going to be doing something for the next 35 years, you understand, on television, like your body, your life belongs to a certain production.
Belongs.
Yo. So I think that narrative needed to be changed. I mean, I remember at some point, Osmanaka, Ranaka had called me and she was like, do you know that when I had originally gotten the role, Nandipa on Isidingo.
Yeah.
I was fired for falling pregnant with her late daughter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was baffling because it wasn't teenage pregnancy. She's a mother. You're a woman. It's your natural born right.
A natural
to
progression in
conceive.
life. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it hit me hard. It hit home hard. But like I said, man, here I am. Here I am.
Who do you have to thank in closing off that season of your life? Who do you have to thank for being there for you when you felt like the industry was rejecting you?
A lot of people, actually, not a lot, 5 people. Osteri Peto.
Interesting.
Guys, I love her.
Yeah.
That girl saw me when nobody was trying to see me. My current agent, Brian Maku, I'm media artist. He took me under his wing when nobody was trying to necessarily touch the girl that had started drama in the industry. Agin Omotoso.
Yes, yes, yes.
Amazing man. Sis Lulu Hela. An amazing woman of note. And definitely my siblings and my mom.
Yeah.
Those are my anchors.
How do you survive that season when you are rejected now? Because you're having to deal with having to perform as a parent, which has its own challenges, which has its own... It's overwhelming to be a new mom, right? And here you are, you're losing everything.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like I said, I didn't work for a year.
A whole year.
I was very depressed and had postnatal depression, gained a lot of weight, didn't understand what's going on. Am I coming or going? I actually wanted to give up. I had just landed, but I just wanted to give up because I didn't understand. I was just like, this is not fair, God. This was not a secret. This was not... It was your intention for me to have this baby, irrespective of whatever magnitudes were taken for want to protect themselves. Utlile. You understand? And knowing how much I love kids, like, give me anything that has to do with kids, I'm there.
Yeah.
So for God to bring this child into my life, and I recall my mom every single time, for every single year we have our Thanksgiving back home, and my mom would always pray that I have a child, but she'd want a son because we are 3 girls at home.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, you've got an older daughter, myself, and the young. Why me? And she's like, I just really want you to. You've got the mothering gene. Like, out of all my kids, I really want you to have a baby, and I want a baby boy. And that's what God did. God gave her what she wanted because my son healed a lot of us back home. That little boy healed me. That boy healed me. I didn't realize how broken I was. I didn't realize how much I was actually feeding into the space of just being wanted everywhere. Channel calls you for this PR thing. This brand wants this. You know, you're just all over the place. You're enjoying all of that, but you are still empty because why? How lorabala, babes? Yeah.
We have a lot of people in this industry who are famous but don't know their own identity.
Yeah. I lost mine. I did lose mine. But I definitely know who I am. I in the midst of us not having work in the industry and it being so scarce, I still have the option to choose what kind of character I am willing to play.
Sure.
Because before I am Keke Mphuthi that they see on credit rolls on the television screens, I'm someone's daughter, someone's sister,
Someone's
and then
mom.
someone's mom.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, I'm God's child.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to believe that to a certain point I belong to the people, but also let the people also remember that I am a person.
What does a season of I'm famous, my name is everywhere, I'm on every credit, I'm perceived to be doing well. What's happening behind the scenes in that season? Are people showing you love, or do you feel like everybody's using you and tossing you around?
So I try and refrain from watching my own work because I criticize myself a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. I get nervous every single time I'm on set. We work with different personalities, irrespective of how great someone might look, you know, to the masses. I don't know, I'm very shy.
I could believe it.
I'm shy.
I could believe it.
I've got social anxiety. So if I'm in the mall or somewhere and people meet me, chances are I'm going to... And you're like, don't I know you from somewhere? And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I literally try and play it off so much because I've got social anxiety. I really never know how I'm going to carry on with a small talk or what I'm going to say or what's going to sound right or sound wrong. And most cases, I'm with my child, and he's not necessarily big on, people being in
Socializing.
hours.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
more than anything, he just wants his mommy to himself in that
Yeah,
moment. Yeah.
yeah.
So I try and refrain from a lot of that. But when I'm alone, yeah, I'll give you an embrace, a picture, have a 30-second conversation, give you a hug, say thank you. But I need to keep it moving because the social anxiety gets to me.
Yeah, yeah. Is the industry treating you differently now, a few years later, now that they're on to the next story? Because they always choose a villain of the season.
I've actually never thought about that. Does anybody actually get treated differently in this industry? Just asking.
Look, as I'm saying, it's either you the trending person of the season, or the media chooses you to be the villain of the season. Do you know what I mean? Or you quietly under the radar.
Yeah.
They always choose their people.
I've always said I never want to be an it girl.
Sure.
I don't get surprised anymore when people are like, oh my gosh, you're so much prettier in person. I'm like, I'm not on television for me to be pretty. I'm trying to portray a character. In most cases, the characteristics of the character don't allow me to be a pretty girl. But I'd like to think that I am... Hey, man. Ke motho, guys. Like, I enjoy a bowl of poto and mass on a random day. Papa Kamaile Acha. Like, I'm your everyday girl, hey?
I've
And
heard
those
things
are my
about Acha.
go-to.
Bad things are happening in South Africa.
No, they lies. They just don't want to bath.
It's an excuse.
They don't want to bath. Like, seriously. The trick is bicarbonate of soda.
Okay. Take me back 17, 18 years old when we're all faced with having to choose our careers. Did you always think drama was for you, or did mom want you to be an accountant?
So I went in Afrikaans school.
Oh,
'Cause I'm
what
from
school?
Kimberley. Yeah, Hoërskool Noordkap. Shout out. Yeah, I went to Hoërskool Noordkap. So in high school, I did a lot of dance, believe it or not. I look at where Bontle Mutisele is today, and I'm like, if I pursued and I wanted to and I never got my back injury, girl, I'd give you a run for your money. But jokes aside, like, I was that girl. I was into arts, netball, drama, but I always had this thing in my head that I'm going to be an actuarial scientist. However, storytelling really honestly overtook me. And also my dad, from the stories my mom used to tell me when I was younger, he had this thing of calling me Sarafina, because for them it was that big thing that black people had back in the days, yeah.
Sure.
And she'd be like, Sarafina yaga. And my mom was like, your dad has always been insisting how big of a Sarafina you're going to be in life. And from the ages of 6, 5, I was dancing for like your KTVs and all these things that the Star Search, when they come to,
yes.
I was that person. And in Matric, I was actually the first black female to be Miss Matric in an all Afrikaans white school.
Yeah, it's like a pageant.
Yeah. So that stirred a lot of controversy in the Northern Cape as well, because it was like, she black, And I was actually bullied as a kid. And I used that in the wrong way when I started actually becoming stronger than I thought, because now I started bullying back.
I hear you.
So when you bully me, I'd bully you back. But I realized that an eye for an eye is not the thing. Hey?
What does bullying back look like?
I would hit you. I won't even lie. I would donor you. Yeah. I was donoring back. Boys included. I was in grade 8, and I remember this one chick was in matric. No, I gave her a run for her money. I did not play. I did not play there. And that was just me trying to also make up from everything that I went through in primary school. And I could see it overlapping into my high school. And at that point in time, I'm just like, my mom is very sick. My grandmother's getting old. My sister's all the way in Joburg starting life. Here I am this young, and there's my little sister. My dad had passed on when I was 12. I need to be there for Mama because she had a stroke. She had depression. It was just a lot. So I needed to... just be there for everyone else. I could not let the next person now want to put me down. Kealeboga lang, because you've got inferiority complexes. No, babes. So I would take your hockey stick or whatever weapon I could find. Le Bagstina,
Nkosi
guys.
yami.
I really was ratchet.
Um,
And I don't regret it.
did you have the mental capacity of understanding all these traumas that sequentially happened? The passing of your dad, your grand being sick, your mom having a stroke and depression. Like, did you understand what was going on really?
No,
Ne?
I didn't. The way my dad was killed, he was fed poison on a Sunday, after having Sunday meal at a certain funeral. And for some reason, from what I was told, that he was specifically told he has to eat this specific plate. And he got heavily sick on Sunday, Monday ICU, Monday evening ICU, Tuesday, and then he passed on Wednesday early morning. And I was supposed to drive down with my mom to Qwaqwa that specific Friday so I can go and see him. But yeah, he never made it.
Did we ever find out who did what? Or
We did.
Ne?
We did.
And I'm guessing the South African justice system.
Yeah, as per usual.
Ne?
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Okay.
Mom, depression and stroke. Did she make it out?
Yeah, she didn't see this coming. She didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
She does sometimes see him in her dreams. She does sometimes talk to him. She'd be sitting alone and she'd be like, I'm talking to your father.
Wow.
And I'm like, tell the dude I say, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
You know, why did you have to leave so early? So she had to learn to fend for herself, and that meant starting from the bottom. And I'm proud of her for where she is right now, running a very successful business in logistics and transportation. As a widowed woman, 17 years in the game, one man.
One woman?
One woman.
Yes.
And close to, we've got what? 2 code 14 trucks, 5 code 10s.
That is incredible.
For all on her own, and they're all paid up.
Yo.
She's
Surely
strong.
that does something to you.
It did. I had to learn to drive at the age of 14. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, illegally I had to learn how to drive at the age of 14 because it was an emergency. Like I said, there was no one necessarily to help me look after her. So if she has an episode or something, I needed to get her to the nearest emergency place because ambulances take forever. Like, I don't understand our government and how they work. But I had to man up
I hear you.
at a very young age.
I'm intrigued by the story of 17 years of running a logistics company that is so powerful as a black woman in a society that doesn't necessarily favor that demographic in that space. What does it do to you to have a role model who demonstrates this?
I saw that girl go through the pits. I remember there was a time when she had to leave her job when she was working in Freiburg as an admin clerk, and we had to literally use our car to transport people between Kimberley and Bloem in order for us to actually have a plate at night for us to eat.
Sure.
You know? And when people see you coming out of the house, they think, oh my gosh, she just had the most amazing breakfast. That time, coffee. You know? I probably smeared like oil on my shoes because there was no shoe polish in order for my shoe, because my mom believed in cleanliness. She was big on that. Cleanliness was very much next to godliness when it comes to her. But nobody necessarily knew what it is that I am going through. Nobody knows that you are probably taking papa and something in your lunchbox and you're going to go eat it on the other side of the bathroom, far from your friends, so that people don't see, or whatever the case might be. You probably don't even have juice that day. You'll take sugar, put it in water, and that's your juice. You understand?
Yeah.
And going to a white-dominated school, it was a bit of an embarrassing situation when you look at it like, why would your mother want to put you through this? Because she really wanted me to get the best education.
Absolutely.
But are the things that are being done or supposed to be done in terms of me being fed met? Yes. I'm fed, not what you are getting, but I'm being fed. And that once in a while, 5 rand tuck shop money, it was a savior. It was a savior.
How has that shaped your mothering style?
I'm very protective over my child. I'm very, very protective over him. I think I'm lucky to have a child that's not finicky on food. So Toriso eats any and everything. I made a point that all the things that I grew up eating, he experiences and I see his reaction. That child will eat cow heels and pap and cabbage and be on some, can I have some more pap, mommy? You know?
Yeah.
And then I love the fact that even like my helpers started teaching him how to eat with his hand as opposed to with a spoon. He's not a finicky child. He eats everything except for red meat. He's not big on red meat.
Hey, you're saving a lot of money.
I know, right? More for me.
Yeah.
But he's not big on red meat. He's burgers as well. He keeps it very simple. Just a patty, cheese, tomato sauce, his favorite. All Gold needs to sponsor that child. Tomato sauce, cheese, patty, and bun. That's how simple my kid is. For lunch,
Sure.
for lunch, he's very keen on taking veggies and fruits because the school system is like that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
need the kids to eat healthy things. They don't even allow them to have juice.
I know these schools nowadays, they say infused water, ne?
Not even infused water,
Just
plain
water.
water because
Oh.
they check their lunches.
Yes, they check lunches.
So he's a fan of cucumber, carrots, and corn.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd have maybe like 2 veggies and then maybe grapes, bananas. He loves bananas. Grapes, bananas, oranges, and watermelon. Like he's got specific fruits and fruits that he'll eat.
Yeah.
The veggies he'll literally eat around about anything.
How are you finding mothering compared to how your mother mothered you, just in totality, outside of just the food?
You know, we had this conversation with my mom. I'd like to believe my mom mothered out of survival. Yeah, our parents mothered out of survival. And I am not doing that. I have honest and real conversations with my child, including why I am now a single mother. You know, he's 6, but you need to understand why Papa's not around anymore. And that it is okay, but know that he does love you. But in order for me to be a healthy mother, I don't have to be Mbokoto.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our parents did the opposite.
They were in Bogota for 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things and advices that they give are based on
That perspective?
that they were given by their
Yeah,
mothers and
yeah.
their mothers' mothers, and all for the sake of having the norm. Yeah, we are 50 years into marriage, we are this and so on, we are ride or die, and so on. The society of men and women today does not allow that to be easily achieved.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a young mother out there who's not like you and Toriso, and they don't have that relationship where they can bring into perspective through conversation difficult and sensitive subjects such as mom and dad broke up and they're not together,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that they don't love you anymore. How do you say can that young mother navigate that conversation with their son who feels as if dad left me?
It's not an easy conversation to have. I really did refrain from having the conversation for a very long time. I touched base on just like trying to find out how is he doing. Do you know that when you were a baby, you were a cute little baby and Papa did this and Mama did that? You know, just try and bring some happy memories into it. But I realized that I'm running around in circles and not getting to the gist of the conversation. I didn't know how I was going to approach this. Like I said, I've got a very easygoing kid. So if Toriso realizes that I'm sitting quiet in a space and I'm alone, he's got this check-up mentality. So he'll knock on my door, Mommy, what are you doing? And I think that moment when he did what he did that specific day, I was like, Mommy wants to speak to you, Papi. And he got into my bed and he asked me, can I get into bed with you? Can I get under the covers? I said, yes, Papi. And we sat and we spoke, and he went as mute as I went the day I found out that my dad had died. And only 2-3 days later did my child then, Mommy, I'm going to tell you how I feel after school. I was like, okay, all right, Papi, have a beautiful day. Love you, Mommy. In the evening after prayer, he came to my room again to get his hug and kiss, and he said, Mommy, my heart is broken. What do you say to a 6-year-old that tells you such things? Yeah. But I think the thing that brought me to tears was him saying that, Mommy, I'm going to fix your heart. You don't have to have a 6-year-old telling you such things.
Neither do they have the responsibility
Neither do
to
they
even
have,
take that on.
exactly. So already I was like having issues on some, why is my child saying such? Is it a message from you, God? But I don't want to put on him what our parents
Put on us.
put on us indirectly
Yeah,
without them
yeah.
realizing.
Yeah.
I don't want him to think that he has to fix me. It's not his job. His job is to be a kid and enjoy his life right now. That's what I need him to do. That's what I need him to do. So I try and literally encourage him every time, like, baby, you don't have to fix anything. Mommy's already fixed. I make you happy, mommy. Yes, Papa, you make me happy. Okay, mommy.
The conversation, though, is a continuum because the child has to live in the reality that only mom is around, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it comes in different ways. It's triggered by a school drop-off when somebody
Yeah.
else's dad drops them off.
No, definitely.
It's triggered by a sports day. It's
We had
triggered by a
that.
parents' meeting.
Yeah.
How are you constantly maintaining this child's happiness and for them to be a child when they're triggered?
So he had a sports day 3 weeks ago. And my helper, who's been with me since he was 2, like they're best friends, 2 peas in a pod. She, myself, my sister, my cousin brother, because I don't have actual brothers, they were there to go and support him on the day. And I remember him saying, like, Mommy, all the papas are going to run. And he went to his uncle's like, you going to go and run, uncle? And uncle went to go and run.
Absolutely.
And he was like, I wish Papa was here, but he's working now. And I said, yes, baby, he's working. One thing I'm not going to do is paint him in a bad light. That will be his job.
Yeah.
That is going to be...
He will reveal himself on his own.
Exactly. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play the bitter... No, babes. I've got too much on my plate for me to be doing your work. Yeah. That's between you and your God and Batimbahao. That's not for me.
We have a crisis in South Africa, and I hope this conversation inspires a father who, for whatever reason, has been scared to face either himself being a coward for not being a good parent, or to deal with what hurt them, because it's very gray. They are toxic baby mothers who deny access from fathers to children. But here we are, where you are demonstrating that the door is open and somebody is just choosing not to enter into the door. I hope they deal with that and they enter the door. How's your frame of mind now in terms of being an actress? How have you changed from that era of 2019 when things felt like they were falling apart, when the production company was supporting you, to 2025 where your son is this amazing angel who lights up your life? Because I can see there's a lot of healing that has happened, that you've gone through to be where you are. And it comes with maturity also if you're intentional about it. How are you approaching the industry now?
I think I approach it as human as I possibly can. And this is now in all elements of my life. I've learned, I've understood, and I've accepted that hurt people hurt people. Hurt people will hurt. Like, they will hurt people. And there's really nothing you can do but look for peace for yourself.
Yeah.
You can't save everyone. That was my biggest problem. Like, it would be half empty, but I still want to just pour into the next person. And then when my cup was empty and broken, nobody helped me replace the cup.
Ratile Mabitsela sat on that chair a few weeks ago and she said that she realized how much self-sabotage she was doing for all her life.
But trying to be there for everyone. You do. And the thing is, you have so much guilt when you don't do it. When you're a giver, you are that person. I remember one of my friends were like, my love language is gift giving, and which is true. You know, when you grow up not having much, you'd like to think that giving to people would literally be, a gesture of love, showing appreciation and how much you mean to me. So I think I overcompensated.
Because takers will take.
Yes. So that is something I forgot. That they do take. But they don't give back. And maybe because my grandmother, when she passed on, she used to have this thing, treat people the way you want to be treated, kind of a situation. So I'm like, okay, I want to be treated with kindness. Let me be kind to you. Then love was never kind. Okay, I want to be treated with gentleness. Let me be gentle and be professional. Then the industry was not trying to do the same thing, you know? And that goes into friends, it goes into so many other aspects. And I realized that these people are going to change me. They're going to change who you are. So let me just be me, have expectation, but limit your expectation, because what is life without expectation? What is love without expectation?
Without trust, without loyalty. Yeah.
So let me literally give you 110% trust. If you break it, it's up to you. But I would have done my job as somebody that went in, not half-footed, but with all of me, so that you don't feel like you didn't get the best of me. So that when I walk away from a situation, I literally have no regret.
Are you finding that not just romantically, in friendships, in your career, that loving too much has betrayed you?
Yes, definitely. I mean, especially with friends. I've probably got like one childhood friend I can still call and that I have on my phone, but I was never really big on friends. We had a big group of girls that socialized because we were like the black girls in a black, white school, but we were not necessarily best of friends. I've got one specific friend that since grade 7, we got into trouble together. My mom would beat us both. That's what I guys. Yeah. But yeah, and coming into this industry, I feel like the industry turns us against each other, not because you can't find sisterhood in the industry, but because sometimes we are actually put up against each other and made to seem like as if we are the enemy. There really isn't enough pie for everyone to eat as much as we'd want to. It's not like before. It's not like before. So now these days, you even put up against your best friend in an audition or a callback or whatever. And like it's very hard for certain people to hide it on some. I need it. Everybody has their reasons why they need it. You understand? And nobody's reasons are invalid.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of things that you unfortunately been put up against. But you also get instances where you get a sisterhood that is very, very genuine. And I'm very blessed to have that sisterhood of friends. More specifically, Eve Khasemene. She's on, what's it called? Savage Beauty.
Okay.
She did quite a few other Showmax and Mzansi Magic Productions. So I'm very happy with my little circle of friends.
Something you just said, where we are pitted against each other and the pie is no longer big enough for everyone. You're probably the first guest that I've heard say that, because there's this, I don't know if it's a quotable, to say, no, there's space for everyone.
No.
There isn't.
We've all just been in a very weird place in terms of work. There hasn't been work for our languages. Like now I speak Sesotho, Setswana, Afrikaans, and English, But the narrative or what has been out has been more auditions for your Nguni languages, you understand? And we know that those are not our strengths. And also we're not trying to necessarily disrespect the people that do speak those languages. But we're not given equal opportunity in the industry regarding us being expressive. The last show that I think I could say was one that gave us a chance was The Throne. And unfortunately, things happened the way that they happened. But that was a very, very good show. Including the production that did it. It was a very good show. It was amazing.
But don't you think there is an element of audience to blame? Because, I mean, recently Queen Mujaji didn't do the numbers, and it's a non-Nguni show. A couple of non-Nguni shows seem to not be doing the numbers, and channel has to go with what the audience seems to be receiving. Is it not also that issue, and we can't blame production and channel?
Well, The Throne got the numbers, and that was a non-Nguni show. So what would be stopping productions to create something as greatly? Bring in the actors that really want to tell stories, not influencers.
You went there.
I know, it's the truth. Honestly, that has been our biggest
downfall.
you know, because now we see a lot of that. It's almost like you need to become a TikToker in order for you to become an actor. And it's just like, what about us that actually put in the work? What then happens to us?
Who's
if you
picking
don't
out these
have the
TikTokers?
numbers? I don't know. I want to hang that person. I really do. So bad.
Because somebody's choosing them.
Somebody's choosing them. I feel like there's a place for them, but let's give also props to the people that actually put in the money and the investment and the time to go out of their way to actually learn
The craft.
the craft, to study the craft, to graduate from the craft. You understand? What are you saying to their hopes and their dreams? What are you saying about them, those that aren't TikTokers and that can't be socially, like for instance, I've got social anxiety. It takes a while for me to get onto TikTok and do something. But those that aren't in it for, and they're just about the arts and theater, what are you saying to them that if you do not have plus minus 500,000 followers, you're not it? Let's do justice to our artists. Like, let's respect the craft. I don't feel like artists are being respected the way that they should be. Most of the times, I mean, we see work that we've done years ago, and because the bill has not been signed, we've got no remuneration for it
No
whatsoever.
remorse, nothing.
No royalties are being paid to
And
artists.
someone will tag you, I'm watching you.
Exactly, and that's painful because when you think about the amount of tax that we pay, 25%, people think that artists have money. No, babes, we are underpaid, overtaxed. That's our lives. And apart from SARS, 25, there's still your agency fees. There are agents that get 20%, you know?
It doesn't end there. You then need to build a brand.
then you
Now you
start-
must pay a
exactly.
management. Now you must pay
You
PR for
understand?
yourself.
Yes.
Now you must put yourself on magazine
You
covers.
see? So when do I actually get to build a home for myself, or my child, or my family? When do I actually get to live? Like, I don't blame those that are trying to go into different industries as well, pursue other things on the side, because we know that a job comes once in a lifetime for us.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the last production I shot around September last year. That's how scarce it's been for us.
We're
this
approaching
side.
September soon.
Oh.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I am glad that now things are picking up, but yeah, it's hectic.
But for a person like you, Keke, I thought you'd say, at least I'm privileged because you have the art, you have the work that you've put in, you
Yeah.
have the craft that you've invested in, and you also have these numbers that they want so much. So you're saying, imagine if you didn't even have the numbers, it would be even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably be like a storyline C or a featured or something. Yes, no role is small. But when you've put in the work, I kind of feel like you also want to be shown that, you know what, we see that you've been putting in the work. And this is our way of saying thank you.
So you're telling me you can only be cast A or B if you have followers?
No, not necessarily. But I feel like, look, I do appreciate the changes that we are seeing. Although they are slow, but there are changes. You understand? And there are people that have talent that we are discovering each and every day. And like,
Sure.
where have you been?
Sure.
You know? So I appreciate there's a lot of change going on at MultiChoice as well, at SABC, at wherever. And I'm very, very happy about that. But yeah, there's still room for improvement.
Who's your favorite actress of all time, South African?
Clementine.
Really?
I love her. I love her so much.
And which role made you fall in love deeply of hers?
It was the old roles, you know, like the old roles where she played because she played a Sotho woman, and that the very tall gentleman, Len, I think was Sotho, and he's still alive, thank God, and also alongside Babdon.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I just love Clementine. Like, her work speaks for itself. I don't even, like, I'm just thinking now, like, there's so many names. I don't even know where to start. But, like, Clementine is amazing. I love her.
Babdon changed your life.
He was my father.
Ne?
And that was my favorite male character.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a dream to work with him.
Really?
It was absolutely a dream. I
Take
mean,
us
we
in.
grew up
Yeah.
watching him.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got the call for the throne, I was actually getting waxed that day, guys. TMI.
I will never try that, by the way. People have been convinced me, no.
Try it.
You know, when you go to Sope, they're like, no,
fun.
try it.
What?
Yeah,
It's so
Tanya
much
in
fun.
me.
Kumnandi. That pool. You'll feel your soul leave your body. And apparently, Babshona, the late Babshona, had said that he was actually supposed to play Museki.
Okay.
And I don't know what the situation became, but basically they got Babdon.
Okay.
And the first time that we actually met was the day that we actually doing the PR shoot, was on a Saturday.
All right. All right.
And he walked in looking at the Jerry Pele. I was so excited. I'm like, what? Mufukeng. Yes, mama, I made it. And Bab Cherry was just amazing. Oh, he's a ball of energy, funny.
Yeah.
And then here walks in Babdon. And I'm like, what is Zebedia doing here?
Matabane.
You know, isn't that the Shona coming? What's going on? And I go to Leradoza. I'm like, girl, what is Babzeb doing here? Like, I don't know. Isn't he playing your father? I'm like, but he's Zulu. No matter where else is Sotho again, I'm like, yeah, but isn't that the show? Okay, never mind. And then I go to him, I'm like, hi, that is a video. I mean, he laughs. It's like, hi, my baby girl, how are you? I'm like, I'm fine. My name is Keke Mphuthi. I'm playing Dipuo. And it's like, oh, my name is Donna Mlangeni, and I'm going to be playing Musiki. I'm like, you playing my dad? Like, you play my daughter? And we just hugged.
Yeah.
It was love at first sight. And he always used to tell me about his daughters and how I remind him of his daughters. So immediately when I got home, I called my mom. I told her everything that happened. I called my aunt, my uncles, and they were like, what? I'm like, yes. I remember my first scene with him. It was regarding the Malatla or something that Dubu was trying to do, and convincing her dad about us actually going forward with us taking over this crown, and how she feels like she deserves this more than her cousins, and her dad should help her get there. That was a very, very beautiful scene. Like, all our scenes have always just been flawless. And I think for us, what worked is having Kagiso Mudupe play my brother. Because Kagiso is so funny. You guys don't understand. Kagiso is hilarious. So our little trio made so much sense. The fact that they were literal best friends and then had to act like a father and son that don't like each other.
Yeah.
You know, like, we built real, genuine love to the point where we're just going to each other's homes at the end of the day. Like, it became the kind of a relationship. Oh, you got something happening back at your place? Oh, cool, yeah, invite. Oh, you got something happening with the family? Oh, cool. Like, we became those people.
Sure.
And I remember after I found out that I was pregnant, they were the first people I told. After, obviously, production found out through my agent. But they were the first people I told, and they were so happy. They're like, oh, that's why it's what I give or so more green room. I'm like, guys. So me, I didn't know. He was hiding.
Yeah.
So when my son was born, Babdon made a special trip to Kimberley to come and see my baby. And he gave him money and he blessed him. Like, that was so big for me. That was so big for me. Also, the difficulty of him trying to carry on with the character without me when Dipuo was killed. It shook us, but it made us stronger. So that's why even leading up to him getting ill and the prostate cancer and stuff, it was hard, but we were all there for each other. And he really kept on asking. So every time he asked, can I see my baby? Can I see my baby? For some reason, then he'd get very, very ill, and it would not be a good space for the child to see him in that situation.
Yeah.
And by the time I was ready for the child to come and see him, when he looked like, okay, he was getting his strength back, and then we had, unfortunately, death on our side. And it just looked like time was just never on our side. And that's one thing I regretted, that I never brought him his grandchild.
Yeah.
But they spoke on the phone. They video called. Yeah. My son still knows that's Grandpa.
Side note, I'm still hurt by Mom Agnes cheating on Zeb.
You know what? Mom Keke, you know what? In life, if I nowadays.
Like, that was a solid couple.
They were.
Right?
They were. They really were. One thing about Babdon, when he goes into a character, he gives his all.
Everything.
Everything. Like, he never came unprepared, and he didn't like unprepared actors. Even if your role is small, do not come unprepared. You can't be put up against a giant like that and not be prepared. Go one line. Don't do it to yourself, please.
We're nearing the end of our conversation. Is Keke Mphuthi living in her purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm living in my purpose. I feel like my purpose right now is to really just be me for once. I spend so much of my time, so much of my life being what everybody expected me to be, what my relationship expected me to be, what my mom expected me to be, what my family expected me to be. I can safely say my son has not expected much except just accepted what I am. And that is my purpose. My purpose is to be exactly who I am. And that means the rest of everybody's just going to have to catch that train or get off at the next stop.
You told me that this is your first podcast and could possibly be your last, right?
Yeah, because I talk too much.
2060, we hear that Keke Mphuthi is no longer on Earth for whatever reason, or 2000, whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
2000.
2000, yes.
2060.
Too close, ne? Too close.
I rebuke.
What would she like to be remembered for?
I feel like the last time Percy did that, we are now mourning him.
I see you again, eh?
Yeah.
I see you again. Because words.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that one thing in life you know for sure that you're absolutely certain of?
That I love people. Yeah. I genuinely love. I love love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not rushing for it, but I love Zogoisha. And there's a narrative. Unfortunately, in our industry, people don't think we can actually love. And they forget, like, guys, we are lovers. We actually are people that need love. Most of us are very broken. Okay?
Side note, the more numbers you gain online or the more known you are, the more people you meet in your real life think you don't have the capability of loving.
Yeah, and the lonelier you get.
Yeah.
The lonelier you honestly get.
Sure.
So there's no way I'm not going to build my own little kingdom where I've got my son and my helper that's like a sister to me and my siblings and my mom. Like, no way. No way, Jose. I love my fan base.
Yeah.
I love them. Hence, I interact with them as much as I possibly can. But I will not, and nobody must ever confuse Diegeting and Keke.
She's not only beautiful, as I emphasized at the beginning of this conversation, but she also rather knows who she is. She's affirmed in her purpose, and she loves love. Keke, thank you so much for coming to Engineer Your Life. I hope you enjoyed. I told you it would be fun.
You almost got me crying. I put on my gangster hat.
Damn it, I should have.
I got my gangster hat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The show is Engineer Your Life, and I'm Lungelo KM. I'll see you on the next episode.
Kholwa emandleni onawo.
Oh my, we're finally doing this. What does EYL Africa represent? It's about standing in your power. It's about, in isiZulu, it's Kholwa emandleni onawo, which is our tagline. You will see it on the back of my t-shirts. It's about believing in the power that you have, believing in the power that your God, your guides have invested in you. Shop our socks, shop our t-shirt, and yeah, just keep believing in yourself. EYL Africa.
Now available on EYLshop.Africa.